Live. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the Generic Live Show for the 22nd of January 2017. It's exciting stuff. Excuse me as I take a drink. That's exactly what you want to. That's exactly what you want to see when you turn on the Generic Live Show. It's just me going into a glass of a delicious orange juice. This is the Generic Live Show for 01/22/17. Bit of a disclaimer at the top of the show here. I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently in today's show. And I'll explain this in the show proper, but just so you guys get a sneak preview. Because I care about you YouTubers. The first hour will be normal broadcast, normal news. The second hour will be commercial-free Trump inauguration coverage. Just so you're aware. So if you want to only listen to the first hour, you can. If you want to listen to the second hour, only the second hour, you can. Also, the podcasts are available as well, so you can listen to those if you so desire to. So, wanted to get that out and open on the table right there and there because just so you know what is happening. We are going live with the show in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, the first live Generic Live show of 2017. Thanks for joining us here on a Sunday. Dale Campbell here with you. It's so good to be here. Oh my gosh, I have missed doing this every single Sunday for you. How's it going? I hope you're well. I hope you and your family had a wonderful and prosperous, happy and prosperous? And we're off air. Okay. Oh, and we're live. All right. Sorry about that, folks. I was a twat and didn't realize that I hit the wrong button. It's so good to be back. Can't you tell? I don't do a live show. I do pre-recorded shows. And by the way, I hope you enjoyed those Best of 2016 collections. But I haven't been solo on a show for about a month, and I've forgotten how all this works. So I certainly hope that this is going to air. If not, it's going to be really, really awkward for you. Everything says it's on still. All right, we'll press on, and if it's not live, then we'll bring it up in segment 2. Hey, the podcast. Go check out the podcast on Blog Talk Radio and on Geek.io. Just search the Generic Live Show because you'll have the first segment in there. So there you go. Anyway, where was I? What I was up to since being away yesterday. I do apologize if my voice is a little more husky than what it normally is. No, I haven't been to voice school, but moreover, I went to Passenger last night. Passenger was in town. If you don't know who Passenger is, look them up. They're amazing. The lead singer is amazing as well. His name is escaping me right now. But Passenger, he's Passenger. Everyone in that band is Passenger. And he played with a band here locally last night, and it was amazing. I've got the photos and videos up on my personal Facebook page, but I will transfer those over to the Dale Campbell Facebook page momentarily. I've just been flat out with preparing today's episode, which that's where I was. So, not to cut Passenger short of time, this Passenger was really amazing. And huge thank you to friends of the program, Maddie and Carl, who have been on the show before. I need to get them back on as well. I need to get Thomas back on too. I need to have the gang. I need to have the gang on. So that was an amazing experience, and I can't thank them enough for coming along with me. It was a weird situation how the three of us were there. Basically, I bought my tickets and then I told Maddie about it, and Maddie was excited as well and bought her tickets, but she was going to buy tickets anyway. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff that I just shared on the on the radio for you. But onwards and upwards with the show. Oh, that's what I was doing. So this episode, the first hour will be more of this fun production fails that you've come to know and love from the Generic Live show. And the second hour will be wall-to-wall, commercial-free Donald Trump inauguration coverage, because it was historic. I will not get into it here, but wow, history happened this week. And even just across the board, history happened across the board. So that is this week's episode. This week's episode, first hour, will be normal, normal production fails that you've come to know and love from the Generic Live show. And the second hour, wall-to-wall, commercial-free Donald Trump inauguration coverage. We will still be taking our commercial breaks in the first hour, but the second hour from about 11:03 I've got in the schedule for. So after we've come back from our 11 o'clock commercial break, the top of the hour commercial break, then ad-free Donald Trump all night long. So want to get to this story that happened in Melbourne. I don't have that queued up. Why do I not have that queued up? The Burke Street tragedy that happened in Melbourne this week. We have from Young, everything is not working. So a driver who killed 4 in a CBD rampage stabbed brother hours earlier. Here is all the information you need to know about this tragedy that took place in Melbourne this week. In the meantime, I'll get interrupted by the video when it starts. But
people are dead after a crazed driver intentionally ploughed into pedestrians in Melbourne CBD yesterday. 20 people with
Gargasoulis, or Jim Gargasoulis, allegedly at 2 a.m. yesterday morning stabbed his brother and assaulted his mother during a fight at their home. He then stole a car that belonged to his mother's ex and went on a wild ride. He took one woman hostage and drove across the city with police in pursuit. She was able to escape. He then headed in towards the CBD, and that's where the carnage began. He started out by doing Burnsy intersection just outside Flinders Street Station. He was hanging out the window, screaming and pointing his fingers. He then drove up Swanston Street and then left into the Burke Street Mall on the footpath, where he hit about 30 people. 4 of those were killed and dozens injured. It was absolute chaos right here in the heart of the city. Finally, a police car was able to ram that vehicle. The man was shot in the arm, dragged out and arrested. Now, Jimmy Gargasoulis has a very long criminal history. He's well known to includes family violence and drug use, and he was out on bail when this happened yesterday. He recently wrote a Facebook post saying, "I'll take you all out, just me. You'll need an army to take me out." And so far, you've presented only half an army. So prophetic words there, but I don't think anyone could have predicted just how dramatic yesterday's events would be. The CBD is still in lockdown. You can see police here behind the tape there. 2 blocks right in the middle of the city still shut down some 15 or so hours after the events happened.
Okay, let's go to Christy. A 4th person was confirmed dead overnight. How are those injured recovering?
And very mixed. As you mentioned, a 4th person was confirmed dead overnight. However, many are still fighting for their lives. Here at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, the latest condition update is that 3 here are still in a critical condition, unknown if they will survive. At the Alfred Hospital, the latest there is that 2 remain in a critical condition. And sadly, also at the Royal Children's Hospital just down the road, 1 remains critical there. Now, that is the 3-month-old baby who you might have seen the pram that was on its side. Really harrowing sights. Police had to take that baby to hospital in the back of a police car because they were so worried it wouldn't make it in time. Also, a 2-year-old, a toddler, is also in the intensive care unit at the Royal Children's Hospital. Now, the offender who was shot in the arm, he remains under police guard in hospital. However, he is not expected. It's not expected that his injury is life-threatening, so he will have to face the full force of the law. At this stage, it's looking like he could be facing 4 murder charges. And
okay, thank you, Christy. Thank you, Nathan.
That is the synopsis of this tragic event that happened in the Melbourne CBD that happened this week. So to summarise, police have alleged that hours before he rammed people on the sidewalk on Burke Street Mall, causing 4 deaths and more than 25 people injured. This terrible man, who I'm not even going to name, stabbed his brother in a haunting Facebook post earlier this week. 26-year-old driver who was known as Dimmy or Jimmy declared war on tyranny and predicted that the world was about to change. Oof. What else do we have here? The murderer was known. The alleged murderer, was known to police after a history of drug abuse and mental health issues. Victoria Police Commissioner Graham Ashton confirmed. It was confirmed that he was on bail when he committed the offences after being charged with assault on his mother's partner on the weekend. Oof. The police alleged that this man stabbed his brother at a home in Windsor just hours before running a group of people on Burke and Queen Streets on Friday. Allegedly, now this is not in this article, but it was in some more reading that I was doing earlier this morning. It was to do with the brother's sexual orientation, that the alleged murderer was against the sexual preference of the brother, and that is what has for some reason made him spiral out of control. Well, there was an update today that a 3-month-old died after the CBD death toll. Here it is.
Victoria Police have confirmed a...
Excuse me, this is Sky News with more.
3-month-old baby boy has died in hospital after a man deliberately drove into Melbourne's Burke Street Mall yesterday afternoon. The death toll now stands at 5. Meanwhile, the mother of the man arrested over the deadly rampage in Melbourne's CBD says she feels ashamed.
As she watched this tragedy play out on television, Emily Gargasoulis prayed for her youngest son, Jimmy.
Make me feel sick. Make me feel sick. And they sent my baby, my son.
In less than a week, Jimmy allegedly bashed Emily's partner, stabbed his own brother, and finally took the wheel of a car that struck and killed 4 strangers.
I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed.
The 26-year-old remains in custody, recovering from gunshot wounds. His arrest coming attempts to stop him.
Stay in the car, Ian! No way, Ian! Stay in the car!
And after he spent yesterday morning driving erratically with his girlfriend in the car.
It was crazy. It was insane. Like, that wasn't the Jimmy that I know.
This man was on his lunch break yesterday when the allegedly stolen Commodore careered through Melbourne's busiest mall.
I just through the air and running for their lives, and I couldn't quite work out what had happened at first. And then, yeah, it wasn't until I saw the car come through all the people, and he lined up straight towards me and just put his foot down and was heading straight for me.
He leapt out of the way, but watched the car strike others. When police reopened Bourke Street, Victoria's Premier initiated a public memorial. Emotions were hard to contain as strangers grieved together.
It shouldn't happen here. Melbourne's a really good place, and
But as the Premier led the floral tributes, he also faced questions about Victoria's justice system. Jimmy Gargasoulis was granted bail just days ago on a separate offence, and that decision will lead to a much-needed review of Victoria's bail procedures.
I'm so sorry, so sorry. What I saw on TV.
That is, wow, that's some chilling stuff there. A bunch of clips there from the murderous rampage that happened in Melbourne. I'd say murderous rampage because that's what it was. It was a rampage with this car plowing through people at the Bourke Street Mall. Now, I don't really have any particular commentary on this event. It's astounding. I mean, I know people in Melbourne. I went to Melbourne myself back last August, and Melbourne is not like this. And yeah, and I agree with that the lady in the clip there that said that Melbourne's a really nice place. You would not expect this to come from Melbourne. In saying that, that's the same sort of thing that was said about Sydney back when the Sydney siege happened. Mind you, nothing has happened on such a large scale since the Sydney siege, so I think it's safe to assume that Sydney's got the all clear. But you've always got to be careful. That's the one thing. This incident happened outside of one of my friends' work. He's safe, thank God, and everyone that he knew around there was safe as well. So no one was hurt there. The most miraculous thing that I heard from this story before we get to the police chief situation, he was driving erratically that they mentioned there on the Sky News clip, but they failed to mention that how he was stopped. You heard that the stay in the car bit in that clip. I want to see if I can get it again.
Coming after failed attempts to stop him.
Just stay in the car, Ian! No way, Ian! Stay in the car!
And
that person, by the way, got out of the car and hit the car with a cricket bat. That man, if he doesn't get some sort of medal of appreciation, then I don't know what is. There is something wrong with this country, because that man deserves every sort of appreciation he can get from stopping this erratic behavior. Now, there has been some backlash, of course, from that falls on the back of the police, and I mean, it has to. Now, to basically summarize this with the time that we have left in this segment, without rehashing anything too often, there has been an investigation into the causes of deaths in Melbourne CBD and the police handling of incidents is coming into question. When it comes to this incident, Chief Commissioner Ashton said that he understood the people would spectate on how things could have gone differently after the fact. Quote, but my police were on the spot. My police were the ones having to make the decisions, life-death decisions in moments and seconds, he says. Quote, every one of these decisions from my perspective was given what's the best way to prevent the loss of human life here, and tragically, we have lost at least 4 people in this particular incident. What we don't know is what has been prevented, what death has been prevented through actions of the police, unquote. Now, that is really true, actually. This could have gone on a lot longer than what it has. But to know that it is being looked at, because there are some situations, and we saw this last year, not so much in this country, but in America, where the handling of situations is a little extreme. We are thankful and thank to gosh about the men and women who serve and protect us on a daily basis. They do an amazing job, and they do handle situations in the best possible way. The justice system has also come under spotlight. The state parole system was overhauled in recent years in response to the 2012 murder of Jim Megara at the hands of Adrian Bailey, who had a long history of sexual violence and was released on parole. In recent months, rules governing offences released on bail has also come under scrutiny in Victoria, following a number of violent crimes committed by young people awaiting court hearings, for example. So that is one way, and Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews promised to make changes to the system if the report calls for them. Good. And my prayers and best wishes go out to people involved in this situation. It's hard to deal with something that happens so quickly and so far out of your control. I cannot put myself in your shoes. As we continue here on the Direct Live Show for a Sunday, we appear to be still live on air, so we're going to take YouTube's word for it. If not, then me saying this is kind of redundant. As we continue here on the Direct Live Show, we've got an update for you on Brexit. Australia eyes off the UK already. We're not wasting any time, are we? With Britain. Thanks for joining us here on the Direct Live Show for a Sunday. Dale Campbell, first live show back, 2017. Thanks for joining us. It's 10:21.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by Amazon. Amazon has all of your needs for all occasions. Amazon stocks a large range of pretty much everything. Everything from automotive to baby to computers, payment cards, groceries, health and personal care, and everything for Amazon Kindles, ebooks, movies and television, magazines, office products, and stuff for your patio, lawn, and garden. Hey, they even sell sports goods. If you're into sports ball. If you're ready to check out the range at Amazon.com, use geek-io.net/Amazon to help out the Geek.io podcast network. We get a little bit of a kickback through our affiliate link there. That's geek-io.net/Amazon. Amazon. Everything for every Geek.io network is sponsored by Tweaked Audio with 7 stars and 7 colors. Available in all areas. There are mic'd and not mic'd options available, designed to sound great with music and talk, and engineered for durability. The lifetime guaranteed and a noise-reducing design, just so you don't get distracted and focus on what matters most. Compatible with all of your devices. Even those weird Windows phone no one likes. We have an exciting offer just for our listeners. If you use the coupon code GEEK at checkout, you will receive a third off your order plus free worldwide shipping. Head on over to tweakedaudio.com to check out their range, and when you're ready to order, remember to use our coupon code GEEK at checkout for a third off, free worldwide shipping, and that lifetime warranty guarantee. We thank Tweaked Audio for their support of the Geek.io network.
Hold on tight. This is the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. Dale Campbell here with you. So good to be here on our first live show of 2017. That's right. We are back for a brand new year, and it has been an interesting first show as it is. Files aren't working. Bumpers are getting cut short. It's all happening right here on the Generic Live Show. The second hour of the program will be a very, very special one. It is going to be wall-to-wall inauguration coverage. The second hour of this program, you won't want to miss it. That is where we're going to be talking about the Trump inauguration in great detail. The second hour of the program at around 11:03 will be Trump inauguration time. So, but meanwhile, Brexit is still a thing on the minds of everyone around the world. And one of the biggest stories of last year, in fact. The UK has told it will have time to relax its immigration laws for Australians who want free trade deal with Canberra. Alexandra Downer, Australia's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, said that the country would better access for business people working in the UK before reaching a post-Brexit deal. He said it might be possible to strike a deal within 8 months of Brexit. Wow, that's fast. The UK Prime Minister Theresa May has already said she will begin talks to strike a trade deal with New Zealand in the coming months. Mr. Downer told BBC Radio 4's Today program that Australia's access for business had often been a part of its free trade negotiations. Quote, it might just make it simpler, actually, he said. Quote, for example, an Australian company that invests in the UK might not want to bring some of its executives to the UK. That can be done with what's called a tier 2 visas. Ugh, can't talk. But maybe that could be made a little bit easier. I suspect it would be the sort of changes we'd be looking at, unquote. Mr. Downer suggested that negotiations over visa agreements should be discussed at the same time as striking a deal on the free movement of goods. An Australian-UK agreement would be reached very quickly after Brexit, he said, referring to the deal Canberra stunk with Washington in 8 months during George W. Bush's presidency. Mr. Downer said that 2 nations, wow, I can't look either, had already been in talks over what a free trade agreement would look like. Quote, obviously, once the UK leaves the EU, it can negotiate free trade agreements, but not before then. We can scope it out. we provided a scoping paper to the British government to explain what we think of the scope of a free trade agreement should look like, unquote. I don't know why an Australian is now British. There you have it. Under current immigration rules, Australians coming to the UK for work must obtain a Tier 2 visa, which would allow them to stay in Britain for a maximum of 5 years and 14 days. People are eligible to get one if they have a skilled job in the UK, a certificate of sponsorship from their employer, and a minimum of £945 in savings. Australians also need to prove that they'll be earning an appropriate salary, which is at least £25,000, or the appropriate rate for the job offered. However, there, of course, are some exceptions to these rules. Now, we are going to be seeing stories like this over the next couple of months. I feel that come into March, we are going to be seeing a lot more of free trade agreements being made with the United Kingdom and the like, because the UK is going to be free to move. It's basically an airplane with the seatbelt sign switched off once it leaves the European Union. It's going to be free to move around the cabin. I can't believe I made that joke, but anyway. So it is going to be free to move wherever it wants to. I'm looking forward to knowing the details of the UK-US trade agreement. Oh, well, here's to hoping, right? Anyway, that wasn't the point of that statement. The point of that statement was I'm really looking forward to getting into the nitty-gritty of these they mean for not only the local economies, but the economies of those of the world. It's going to be interesting to see that as we continue here on the Generic Live Show. Well, January has been a busy month for tech. We'll tell you more as we continue here on the Generic Live Show. First live show back of 2017. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Dale Campbell. It's 10:30. That's not an ad break.
Hi, this is Chuck Corey.
Where has my stuff been moved to? My things have been moved and I don't like it. Huh. Okay. Technical difficulties. Huh. Okay, that's odd. Huh. Okay, I do apologize for this, YouTube. I definitely do apologize for this. There'll be nothing on the podcast. You won't notice a difference. But I do apologize for this. I would play music, but huh. Okay, here we go. All right, we'll play an ad and then we'll go back. Maybe.
I got bad news for you. Your t-shirt sucks. You should take it off and buy a new one. And the best place to buy a new t-shirt is www.geek-io.net/tfury. Because I can have a t-shirt, you can have a t-shirt, but you better not get it from anywhere else but T-Fury. And I approve this message.
Okay, apologies for that. We'll try and get all of next week. Now back to regular scheduled programming.
Look, I just got the letter on Friday, and I didn't know how to tell you.
I'm really happy for you. Okay. Okay. Let's go have some fun.
You finally found the most generic live show. This is the Generic Live Show.
Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. That's right, Dale Campbell here with you on a Sunday for the Generic Live Show. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for joining us here on the first live show back of 2017. And what a doozy it is. It is, wow, production nightmare. No, it's fine. The YouTube will understand. We do have a YouTube channel. I don't know why I don't promote it a lot more. YouTube.com/generic live show. YouTube.com/generic live show. Should take you there, or search the Generic Live Show and watch live. I'm waving. Now, one thing that we know is that Nintendo has had a rough go as of late, but in October they announced the Switch, a bold new game system that's portable like a Game Boy or 3DS, but also connects to your TV. But here we go. We finally got all of the details that we need for the Wii. We have the Switch arriving on March 3rd, 2017 for the low price of 470 Australian dollars. Okay, not so low, but it did announce a lot of questions. So here is what we know, courtesy of CNET. What's it like to play? The CNET got to try the Nintendo Switch for several hours in New York and London. Scott Steen and Jeff Bacala played a handful of games. Expectations were high for the Switch. If you are a Nintendo fan, you might be hoping that is a tablet magical mix of the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS combined. Based on their early hands-on impressions were solid but mixed. The Switch tablet is compact but a little chunky in comparison with the iPad. It's larger than a phone but smaller than a Wii U gamepad controller. Its screen is bright and crisp, and its controls are really small but tidily laid out. So there you go. Early games seem to be promising. The newest Zelda game, Breath of the Wind, is day one launch title. It looked to be a great game, but occasionally ran choppy in demos. Splatoon 2 looked as good as the original did on the Wii U, but it was only available in tablet mode. So other games featured similar graphics, fun multiplayer ideas, like the puzzle-solving collaborative games Snipper Clips, and a weird party game for 2 players called 1-2 Switch. That game does look really weird, by the way. If you look at the demo, that game looks really weird. But for a game system that's debuting in less than 2 months, they didn't get to play many games. And for Nintendo to not show off any of its cool features of the Switch, like other apps or streaming devices, and oddly, Nintendo hasn't gone much into detail how the Switch can tap into retro Nintendo games. So what exactly is the Switch? The Switch is a modular, excuse me. Let me try that again. A modular game system that can play its games connected to a TV like a regular games console does, or as a tablet-style handheld with its own controls. Excuse me. My throat's really dry. Can you hear that? The 6.2-inch screen can be propped up by its own kickstand with detachable controllers that act like its own miniature Wii remote motion controllers, but they are much better than that. So how is the battery life? Nintendo estimates that you can get 2.5 to 6.5 hours of battery life on the go. The Legend of Zelda Breath Between the Wind, Breath of the Wild can be played for roughly 3 hours on a single charge, says the company. It might not sound like a lot, but it's a gaming console. So plus it's a standard USB Type-C phone charger. So yeah. How can it be both handheld and a TV console? The Nintendo Switch dock is where the Switch lives in your living room. The tablet slides onto the dock and it seems to instantly switch into a TV connected mode. This is a bit like the Nivea Shield tablet, which had a similar play on TV, play on the go idea. How quickly can the switch modes? Nintendo's preview video shows people playing games on the TV, then popping the tablet out and playing on the sofa. Games should instantly switch and play in either mode. On the TV screen, the Switch output is a 1080p image, even though it's an internal screen of 128 by 720 pixel resolution. So how do the controllers work? So the Switch has a flexible idea of 2 quote-unquote Joy-Con side pieces, which slide into the edges of the Switch tablet, adding 4 buttons and an analog stick on each side, plus shoulder buttons, just like the Wii U gamepad. But when these are slid off, they become standalone Wii remotes held sideways to play games. Excuse me. Tired today. They can charge while attached to the tablet, or when attached to an optional $40 charging grip controller. Which has its own USB port. Are they just tiny Wii remotes? No, they are not. They are amazing. Anyway, moving on. That's all you need to know. No, what they do have is so you can put it on the actual stick, and you press it, and it detects if it's a Amiibo or not. Amiibo. That's how amazing it is. Also, they have amazing, like, they've got haptic feedback, which means Nintendo says you can shake the controller, it feels like there's ice cube moving around in the glass. Yeah. Amazing. If I remove the controllers, how do I hold the screen up? It has a built-in kickstand. And does it have a touchscreen? It is a touchscreen. Is everything in the box? Maybe not. It does come with the tablet and two joypads, the game dock, the straps, AC adapter, and even the HDMI cable. But it's two different versions at the same time. Sorry, the Switch does not come with the charging grip. Only a plain grip that doesn't charge the controller. To charge them, you'll have to plug them into the tablet or buy the accessory. It does not have an SD slot. As it turns out, Wii U discs and 3DS cartridges do not work, so it's not back compatible. And it won't replace the 3DS handheld. Note the 3DS will be sticking around apparently. What games can I play? The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wind is coming out as launch title on March 3rd. And Nintendo confirms that there are 80 titles in development. And I think 1-2 Switch is the only other launch title with it. Yeah, I think launch title is Legend of Zelda and 1-2 Switch, I believe. Nintendo says it would not be region locking, so that's the exciting thing. No region locking on the Nintendo Switch. By the way, that is the most exciting part out of all of this. There is no region locking. Local multiplayer is alive and well, but do you have to pay to play over the internet? Local multiplayer games can be played up to 8 Switch systems without an internet connection, but Nintendo's online player mode will require a paid subscription after the first month. There you go. It's got Wi-Fi and 3 full-size USBs in the dock. There's 2 USBs in the front in the Switch docking station, and 1 inside the dock. While the Switch has a speedy 802.1 AC Wi-Fi. You can also plug a USB internet or to an Ethernet adapter and use one of those ports for wired internet connection. Does it support surround sound? Yes. Are the additional controllers aren't cheap? Well, they cost around $100 Australian. And Nintendo seems to have developers aboard this time. There is a list of partners unveiled by Nintendo that is pretty extensive, in addition to a potential list of announced games above. So there you go. Some games here. Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, a different Mario game set in the real world. Fire Emblem Warriors, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, FIFA, Skyland Imaginators, Minecraft Arms. Ugh. That cartoony multiplayer boxing game. 1-2 Switch, a new RPG from the... that's not the title of it. NBA 2K18, Super Bomberman R, Ultra Street Fighter 2, Has Been Heroes, Just Dance 2017, Tetris, so that's exciting. No, Rhymes, Steep Fast RMX, Sonic Mania, Project Sonic 2017. Please tell me that's like Project Runway, but only with Sonic. Please tell me that is what that is. That has to be what that is. I so want that to be true. It's just Sonic walking down the runway with very, very fashionable clothes. Me, Sonic, yay! I'm rocking the rings, the ring look. But yes, so that is the Nintendo Switch. Oh my god, it is very. I do want to see what the Switch has installed. I don't think I will be running out and buying one opening day. I certainly don't think I will be anyway, because it's just too much. And no one is selling it for $370. Everyone is selling it for a lot more than $470. If it was only $470, maybe. But the cheapest I have seen it here is about, I must say, about 500. That's the cheapest I have seen it here. Maybe $499, but I have not seen it at $470 yet. So I best keep looking then. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show, thanks for joining us. I do apologize for all the technical difficulties. It really has put a dent in the show. But you know what has also put a dent in the show? I'll tell you. It is a nation rocked by a garlic bread shortage. I know, it's a catastrophe. How will we survive? We won't. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show, the first live show back of 2017. Oh, and by the way, at the top of the hour, Trump inauguration talk. You know you want it. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday with Dale Campbell. It's a pleasure to be here. It's 10:50.
The Geeko Network is sponsored by Tweaked Audio. With 7 styles and 7 colors, there are mic'd and not mic'd options available, designed to sound great with music and talk, and engineered for durability. All options come with a lifetime guaranteed and a noise-reducing design, just so you don't get distracted and focus on what matters most. Compatible with all of your devices, even those weird Windows Phone no one likes. We have an exciting offer just for our listeners. If you use the coupon code GEEK at checkout, you will receive a third off your order plus free worldwide shipping. Head on over to tweakedaudio.com to check out their range, and when you're ready to order, remember to use our coupon code GEEK at checkout for a third off, free worldwide shipping, and that lifetime warranty guarantee. We thank Tweaked Audio for their support of the Geek.io network. This Geek.io podcast network is proudly sponsored by Think Geek. Think Geek is the biggest online retailer of all things geeky. That's right, everything geeky. And they stock the biggest brands in geekiness like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Minecraft, Legend of Zelda, Marvel, Game of Thrones, DC Comic, and Geek Labs. And they sell a whole bunch of things like collectibles, electronics and gadgets, t-shirts and apparel, gifts. They sell it all over at Think Geek. And they have free shipping on orders over $75 or a flat $6.95 US standard shipping to all places in the US. So when you're ready to check out the range over at Think Geek, the online geek superstore, just use our link, Geek, over at geek.net/thinkgeek. That gives us a little bit of a kickback on what you buy. Don't worry, we're not stealing your shoe size or asking you for a blood sample. It's okay. We're only getting a kickback from what you buy. We don't actually see what you buy from Think Geek. Join in, geek out, Think Geek. We thank Think Geek for their support of the Geek.io podcast network.
Want a custom computer? Want to run the latest games at the highest graphics with no lag? Want to build a computer that can make and edit movies or videos like them they're professionals? Pugent Systems has your solution. Go to geek-io.net/Pugent to build a brand new custom computer with their support of the Geek.io network.
Hold on tight, the Generic Live Show.
Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for Sunday. Dale Campbell here with you for the first live show in 2017. Wow, it doesn't feel like the first hour is nearly gone at all. Does not feel like it at all. Now, there has been cute, sad music. Do I have some sad music that I can use for this next story, because we're gonna need it. Where are we? Do we have it here? I think we do. Here we go. Some sad music. Ladies and gentlemen, Australia was facing a garlic bread shortage. When the news broke that this week one of Australia's major garlic bread suppliers was recalling their products, there was more than a little upset. George Weston Foods recalled 11 of theirs from major supermarkets and pizza joints after bits were plastic, excuse me, that was getting loud. After bits of plastic were found in their margarine blender. Despite the threat of chomping down on plastic while enjoying the treat, the garlic bread consumers of Australia were outraged at this unfortunate development. The products were recalled from Woolworths, IGA, Aldi, as well as Pizza Hut and Domino's, while customers compulsively bought all remaining garlic bread from their local supermarket. Brands were working hard to soothe carb-craving customers on social media. Most of the feedback from the great garlic bread shortage has been fear and outrage, but some commentators have been a little bit more measured with their approach. Because luckily, garlic bread isn't the most difficult dish. But, alas, is the most delicious dish. If the traditional baguette and garlic butter is a little bit too basic for you, why not try out a good old garlic oil topped focaccia recipe? And ladies and gentlemen, a moment of piano, because if we did silence, we'll get kicked off the air. because the silent thing would come into effect. A moment of piano for garlic bread. The good news is, though, that the recall has been recovered and brands of this type of garlic bread have made its way back to the shelves. Hallelujah! But wow, grim times there for a little bit because garlic bread wasn't in supply. So yeah, rough time there for a while. People were outraged about this, and deservedly so, because garlic bread, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say garlic bread is the best bread. Forget white bread, forget wholemeal bread, and I can't swear on this show, can I? I was going to say something about banana bread that I would then have to dump, and I don't feel like using my dump button in the first hour of the program. Relax. Measured approach. Everything's going to be all right. Just remember what Dr. Wendy told you about taking out your emotional feelings live on air. No, that this is why I podcast. No, garlic bread is coming back in the style, but wow, grim times for the citizens of Australia without having any garlic bread in their life. I'm doing it. Just now thinking about it. Anyway. Now that that's out of my system, we can talk about Donald Trump. Yay! As we continue here on the Generic Live Show, well, we are going to take a quick break here. Then the second hour of the program is going to be wall-to-wall Donald Trump inauguration coverage that you need to know about, because it is a historic moment that happens. Well, inaugurations happen every 4 years, and there's a change of leaders definitely every 8 years, because terms can only get renewed once, unfortunately. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, Dale Campbell here with you. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show. It's 11 o'clock.
Hey you! Yes, you, fine listener of this program. You can help us become more than what we already are. I know, it's a revolution. Hold on to your butts, because I'm about to give you a URL address that could change our lives. Not really, but it would help us out tremendously if you went over to geek-io.net/support, so we can do a lot more than what we're actually doing now. That website actually has a lot of links on it where you can help us out monthly through Patreon at our Patreon site at patreon.com/geekio, or you can help us out once off by supporting those who support us. But then you can become the ones who support us, who support you, who support us. It's supportception. To continue this supportception, it's in your hands. Go to geek-io.net/support to keep this ever-long cycle of support up. Thank you.
This Geek Io podcast network is proudly sponsored by Think Geek. Think Geek is the biggest online retailer of all things geeky. That's right, everything geeky. And they stock the biggest brands in geekiness like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Minecraft, Legend of Zelda, Marvel, Game of Thrones, DC Comic, and Geek Labs. And they sell a whole bunch of things like collectibles, electronics and gadgets, t-shirts and apparel, gifts. They sell it all over at Think Geek. And they have free shipping on orders over $75 or a flat $6.95 US standard shipping to all places in the US. So when you're ready to check out the range over at Think Geek, the online geek superstore, just use our link to go over to ThinkGeek over at geek-io.net/ThinkGeek. That gives us a little bit of a kickback on what you buy. Don't worry, we're not stealing your shoe size or asking you for a blood sample. It's okay. We're only getting a kickback from what you buy. We don't actually see what you buy from ThinkGeek. Join in, geek out, ThinkGeek. We thank ThinkGeek for their support of the Geek.io podcast network.
My face, so you don't care anymore for this type of place. You're tied up and crazy, sinking in your fate.
We're here to give you a big dose of genericness. This is the Generic Live Show.
Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. We are not going to waste any time here on the Generic Live Show. We are going to dive right into the inauguration of Mr. Donald Trump and Mike Pence into the office of the White House. Donald Trump becomes the 45th president of the United States of America. CBS's coverage right here. We'll pick it up with Mike Pence getting inaugurated.
Now, please stand while the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas, administers the oath of office to the Vice President of the United States.
Mr. Vice President-elect, would you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Michael Richard Pence, do solemnly swear
I, Michael Richard Pence, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Mike Pence, there, Vice President of the United States of America. Generic Live Show, inauguration hour.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, accompanied by the President's own United States Marine Band.
For purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Beautiful for pilgrim feet to stand in passion's stress, a thoroughfare of freedom beats across the wilderness. America, America, God make thine every flaw. Confirm my soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till of success be nobleness, and every name divine. Sees beyond thy ways, thine alabaster cities we undid by hermit tears. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. From sea to shining sea.
Moments away from Donald Trump taking the oath.
To introduce the Chief Justice of the United States, John G. Roberts, Jr., who will administer the presidential oath of office. Everyone, please stand.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. We are going to be playing his address to hear live on the Generic Live Show for you to hear. This is wall-to-wall, commercial-free inauguration time. The President's address. Coming right up here on the Generic Live Show.
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Did I get that one right, please?
Chief Justice Roberts, President Carter, President Clinton, Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington
The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. Everyone is listening to you now. You came by the tens of millions to become part of a historic movement, the likes of which the world has never seen before. At the center of this movement is a crucial conviction that a nation exists to serve its citizens. Americans want great schools for their children, safe neighborhoods for their families, and good jobs for themselves. These are just and reasonable demands of righteous people and a righteous public. But for deprived of all knowledge and the crime and the
at the bedrock of our politics will be a total allegiance to the United States of America. And through our loyalty to our country, we will rediscover our loyalty to each other. When you open your heart to patriotism, there is no room for prejudice. The Bible tells us we must speak our minds openly, debate our disagreements on it, always pursue solidarity. When America is united, America miseries of disease and to harness the energies, industries, and technologies of tomorrow. A new national pride will of Nebraska. They look up at the same
Wow. I have no words. That was like that was an experience. I will give you that. By the way, I have heard that half an hour of audio, I want to say 4 times now, and it still hasn't in. That was the inauguration of Donald Trump to become president and Vice President Mike Pence, 45th president duo of the United States. Duo. That's a weird way to put it. Of the United States. Now, one quick thing before we move on, and I shouldn't sigh like that, but there was one thing, and I mentioned this in the first hour of the show, and it's worthy playing here at this point before we talk about of the inevitable protesting that happened around the world. It's something that happened yesterday, so it's fresh. I mentioned yesterday that went to Passenger. He was here live. He was here live in Cairns, and this next, I don't know what's happening in there. Anyway, that's strange. So they mentioned this next minute clip summarizes what he had to say about the Donald Trump presidency, and there's more in this clip than what any protest could say. So here is that clip.
I'm not the first person to say it. I know it's kind of cliche to say it, but it really was. We lost so many of our brightest sparks, and it was a turbulent political year, to say the fucking least. But I want to sing this song for anybody who's been reading the news or watching the news recently. If you're feeling really helpless, it's really easy to feel really helpless and alone and small, like you can't do anything about it, and you just got to watch the world go down this really dark path. I want this song to remind everybody that actually we can do stuff about it. If we really care, if we actually fight for it, fighting amongst ourselves. We don't have to start listening to Donald Trump anytime soon. So listen. Please stand up one last time if you can be bothered. This last song is called Sierra with Adele. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for having us. We've been Passenger. You have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
So that clip, and I do apologize for the swearing in it, but I'm leaving that in there. And it's powerful because we don't have to start listening to Donald Trump anytime soon. We are a progressive society, and no one individual person can take that away from us. And I mean, try as they might, but this sort of mentality maybe back in the 1950s, maybe. We can't go so far backwards. It's not, from this point forward, it's going to be a bright future, and there's no one thing that a person can do about it. And if society gets bogged down in all of that, then it's going to be a really, really grim time. And the majority of the human race won't let that happen. So, again, we don't have to start listening to Donald Trump anytime soon. That's that is the quote of the month, really. Might be the quote of 2016, but it happened in 2017. But we'll get into this and that sort of thing. You're listening to the Generic Live Show, by the way. I'm Dale Campbell. This is wall-to-wall inauguration coverage, commercial-free. We'll be here for about the next 20 minutes or so while we continue to now unpack the fallout from the Trump presidency. Now, before we get to the protesting, I want to mention that the financial markets and finances are looking good. No crashes. Thank gosh, because if there was a financial crash, I don't know what I'd do with myself. I would have to murder someone because I could not deal with that in the news cycle as well. And one thing about the news cycle as well, I mean, I'm not a professional news presenter by any stretch of the imagination. I'm wearing a T-shirt, for crying out loud, doing news presenting. I mean, if you look at it, yeah, wearing a T-shirt, that's not entirely professional, but I do try and be objective. I am going to be talking about protesting, and I do put my own personal opinion and my personal analysis into this show. But one thing I will say about the news cycle this week regarding the inauguration, it's something to behold because it's that of one of two things, one of three things. The inauguration procedure itself. 2, the protests, which were going to happen anyway because they were pre-planned. 3rd of all, and I know I'm going to get hate mail for that. I know I will get hate mail for saying that, oh, these protests, but people are expressing their rights. I know that. I'm not denying that. Everyone has a right to free speech. But they were pre-planned. They were advertising for it. If you say to a group of people, hey, meet me here, we're going to be protesting X, that's pre-organized. They have a right to, but don't tell me that it's not organized. And 3rd of all of the sprinkling of memes and that sort of thing, I mean, I know you have to laugh, but seriously, do not put them in reputable news sites, so I have to shuffle through them because doing a radio show, you can't really show memes on the radio, but that's besides the point. The real point of the matter is that cake is an exact replica. Okay, that's also another thing too. Can we stick to the actual news? You know, reporting things. The protesting is actual news that I can deal with eventually, but the cake being similar to another cake that was used, I don't care. Seriously. I mean, I wouldn't, again, don't take this as anything as me being a Trump supporter. I'm not. But seriously, looking at it from a news perspective, do we have nothing else to report? It could be just my news sources too, by the way. I just want to put that out there. It could be just my circles that I'm just getting this sort of news coverage. Protesting. Back on track. Here is some audio for you about how protesters are out in droves in Washington. If there's
See the rest of the country look like this town. I'd like to see a lot of different colors everywhere I look in America.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a place.
Say what? Ain't no power like the power of women, because the power of women can't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of women, because the power of women don't stop. Say what? I can't hear y'all.
I'd like to see the rest of the country look like this town. A lot of different colors everywhere I look in America.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a place that is the home of the free.
Yeah.
My wife and I have a 2-year-old son, and we're really worried about the future.
My grandma is 94 years old, and she marched back in the civil rights marches back in the 50s and 60s. So I just wanted to do something that she once did.
I'm for women's rights, period. because I'm old and I'm not going to last forever, and I want to get a word in before I die.
Yeah, you voted for someone who's sexist and racist.
I am so sorry that a person your age is saying that. I happen to know Donald Trump from real estate in New York. I know who he is. I'm sure he's not going to have a racist attitude.
Donald Trump, go away! Racist, sexist, anti-gay! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Okay, that is audio from a an organized protest in Washington. Reuters gives us that audio, by the way. Now, I want to point something out, and I said this when Trump got inaugurated. I'm not inaugurated, when it became well, I'm going to say it when he got inaugurated, but I said it when he was the nominee. He never has said any of this stuff. I get all of that out to people. I mean, I may be wrong, but he has never said any of this stuff. But people have got it in their head. Now, I will give people the popular vote argument. I will give that to people. I will give that, because yes, Clinton did win the popular vote by over 2.8 million votes. That's no small change. That I can give you. But I can't give you that all of these things that Trump accused you of. If Trump won fairly in this election, which he did, the Russians didn't interact with the election. They didn't tamper any votes, mind you. But he won more states than Clinton did, as a number statistically. He won in the Electoral College, which is the current system used in the United States. We can have the conversation about that. Why aren't people having a conversation about that rather than marching about how Trump hates women? I want to point out that he's married to one as well. Just want to put that out there. So I just want to get that off my chest. Now, celebrities have been a huge movement to this, by the way. You're listening to the Generic Live Show, by the way. Dale Campbell here with you. Now, the 20 celebrities, again, have not been quiet in this election cycle. But I want to point out that my love for celebrities stop at the movie or television screen, by the way. I just want to put that out there. But here are some of the people responsible for that have come out against Donald Trump. So Meryl Streep is on the list, she gave that very emotional speech about how Trump mocked a reporter with a disability. The cast of Empire, they came out in a video denouncing the GOP nominee in October. Arnold Schwarzenegger, in a statement following the release of a video in 2005, Trump offensively speaking about women in 2005. Okay, so where's the video though? The video hasn't surfaced, so that's that. Richard Schiff, who has called the GOP presidential nominee at the time pathologically fearless. Olivia Wilde, on September 24th, shared a video about Donald Trump's controversial statements against women. Robert De Niro, who at the Sarajevo Film Festival on August 13th, calling the then presidential candidate totally nuts. Lena Dunham gave a speech at the Democratic National Convention. Mark Ruffalo, Shonda Rhimes, Bryan Cranston, and more. I like that. I like that and more. America Ferrera, which I like her. She gave a speech at the DNC. Stephen Hawking, who said at the internet, has said in an interview on May 31st, 2016, that he couldn't understand Trump's political rise. Stephen King, Susan Sarandon, John Legend, Jack Black, Sarah Silverman, Samuel L. Jackson, Chelsea Handler, which, by the way, have you seen her also tweeting a picture of yourself almost naked with Trump's a butthole written on her body? That doesn't help matters much either. John Oliver, who would wreck on anyone that moves, so that's not an entire surprise. Cher, same thing. Ben Stiller, well. J.K. Rowling, Brandon Stanton, Eve Ensler, Kerry Washington, George Clooney, Jennifer Lawrence, Johnny Depp, Miley Cyrus, Louis C.K., Russell Simmons, Shakira, that's an odd one, Richard Gere, Rosie O'Donnell, Bette Midler, Bill Del Blasio. Yeah, and that's it. And that's about it. They're all the celebrities that have spoken out against Trump. And I like a lot of these people, and I won't boycott them. That's not a thing that I do. I will not boycott these people. That is not a thing I do. Like I said, I love America Ferrera. Ugly Betty is one of my favorite shows ever. So I won't be boycotting that anytime soon because it's entertaining. These people are entertaining. They are paid to entertain me as well, and it just ties into some of the love for politics around that, making it personable. And you've got to think that people do make this personable, definitely, and it's sad that these people do this. So we will play this clip to see us out as well. I don't know what this sounds like, but we'll give it a go. This is Trump signing first official documents as U.S. president.
Does everybody know what this is?
The waiver.
That's the man's waiver.
We had signed that, and then they'll.
I thought it was help to sign that.
What's next?
What would you like me to sign?
Just underneath.
Any place you want.
As long as it's,
You want to use a couple different pens.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Who's got more to say?
So this is General Mattis, and that was a popular decision by everybody. Thank each other.
That's your first wall.
That's it. General Mattis is our first signing. That's great. Very good. Okay, we'll take that pen with it. This one I'm signing quite a few times, folks.
Let's see what else is here.
Come on up. President, here's some more. Oh, good. Good.
Give each.
Okay, I'll start doing it.
Each cabinet gets some.
How about we'll do Nancy first? Is that okay? Is everybody? Where is that? It's a rough grip, isn't it?
It is. I'm happy to take it.
I think we're gonna need some more pens, by the way.
That is audio from Trump signing first official U.S. documents. I don't know what was on those documents as well, but this next 5 minutes is, I don't know if there's any audio in here, but this is Michelle and Barack Obama leaving leaving Washington. Emotional stuff watching, turn that down. Emotional stuff watching this sort of thing, by the way. As they get on the aeroplane here. Obama waving goodbye to Washington. That audio just goes on. There's no audio. But one thing I want to say, here's what's next, and we'll fill in the last bit of coverage with this. Here's what's next. According to reports, former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama will spend a vacation in California, Palm Springs, according to reports, and they will be going there for an undisclosed amount of time before returning to Washington as citizens to allow their daughter to finish high school. They want to stay in Washington to allow their daughter to finish high school. So that is the plan for the Obamas. Whether they will move out to California is a totally different story. Now, the next thing on the list for President Trump is to get to work. He has made a lot of promises on the campaign trail and as the nominee. It's basically put up or shut up time for Mr. Trump. So let's. Oh, by the way, I want to save this one, by the way, because the Washington Post has, excuse me, there are 1,461 days in Donald Trump's term. The Washington Post are tracking progress of 60 pledges he's made during his campaign and whether he has reached his goals. There are 58 not yet rated, no action has been taken, and 2 that has started. I'm not going through all of these yet, but it will be interesting to get into these. Some of these deadlines have passed, so we'll see. We'll see how that works out for him. Fully repeal and replace Obama. That is launched. Fund the construction of the wall southern of the border. That has also been launched. There are a few things that was meant to be signed on the first day of office, but hasn't yet. For example, announced the US withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That was meant to be a deadline. Nothing yet there. Cancel every unconstitutional executive action ordered by President Obama. That was a big one. That has not happened yet. Cancel all federal funding to sanctuary cities. That has not happened yet. The deadline for that was the 20th. Impose quote-unquote extreme vetting on all people coming into the country. That has not happened yet. There are a few of these with the deadline of April, the 29th of April 2017, which is oddly specific. A lot of these are very vague as well. Expand military investment. How do you know when that is? So, but I have saved the Trump tracker as well. So there you go. The 2 on launch is the fully repeal and replace Obamacare and the fund the construction of the southern wall. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a historic week. I can't believe I'm saying this. Love him or hate him, Donald Trump is the 45th president of the United States. Now, it's a tough pill to swallow, trust me. It's not something that it's not something that I would have imagined would be happening. On this show, how are we going to handle it? Well, we are going to be monitoring it quite close. We do bring you live and local news as much as we can, but if something shakes the world like this has for the last 2 years, essentially, we are going to bring it to you, because that effectively is my job, and I will do the best I can to vet it out for you and try and put it in a nice little package for you to consume. The point of this show is to be informative, and I hope to do that when it comes to President Donald Trump. And I will do everything I can to do that. And I hope, so help me God, that the next 4 years goes by really quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dale Campbell. This has been the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure as always. It's 12 o'clock. I don't have an outro. I will have to edit one in.
This has been a podcast of the Geek.io Media Network, where you put your geek in and geek out. Geek-io.net for more geeky goodness.